So is getting organized on your list of things to get done this year? If so, I have a perfect solution for you. Hi there and welcome to Laugh So Create. My name is Rebecca. If we haven't met, welcome, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome also. In today's tutorial, I will be sharing with you some of these fabric baskets. Now, what started on this journey of the fabric basket was that I purchased quite a bit of fabric from, I think it was a Dollar Tree. And when I purchased it, I plonked it in this box. It happened to hold these little bundles in a vertical manner, and I kind of liked the way it looked, kind of looking at all the yummy colors. But I didn't like the box, and I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if I could figure out a way to just make a fabric box? And so started down the path of making these fabric baskets. Now, what's fun about these baskets is, one, they don't require a lot of supplies. Two, it's a beginner-friendly project. So if you are setting up your sewing room or craft room, this is a perfect beginner project, sewing straight lines. They are completely reversible, so if you get tired of one look, you can easily flip it and feature the other fabric. Fast to make. I made all three in one afternoon. And then when they're not in use, you can just squish them flat. So you could even make some for your car, really, and keep your kids' toys corralled or snacks or whatever in there. Thought it would be also fun if you were trying to decorate your office, if you have some coordinating fabrics for some supplies on your desk. It would be fun to make different containers like this. For this one, I actually made it so that it would hold this box. Now, I did cut the box down and shorten it a little bit. It holds the fabric up really well. And you could probably cut the box even shorter so you don't see it too much. But you can also make it to where you have a little peekaboo lining feature as well, if you want that contrasting fabric to show. On this one, I actually placed a clear vinyl, area for a label so that you can designate the content of it. Also fun because you can practice free motion quilting if you are looking for projects that are... Okay, so you can practice the free motion quilting, or you can just do straight stitches, cross hatches, or you can just entirely leave it off, as I did on this one. So, as a bonus, there is something else that you can make with the remnants from the boxing of the corners, which would make great gifts, and I will share that at the end of the video and show you exactly how to make it, so stay tuned for that. So let's get started and take a look at what you need for this project. So while you can make this project in whatever size you want, today I am doing a large, medium, and small. So each of the sizes are going to require 4 cuts, 1 exterior fabric, 1 lining, batting, interfacing. Today I'm using 100% cotton. For the large, you're going to be doing 17 inches by 17 inches. The ones for the medium, 15 inches by 15 inches. And for the small, I'm doing a 10 inch by 10 inch. Now you can choose how you want to affix the interfacings. For example, if you want a smoother look on the outside, then you would just affix the SF101 to the exterior panel and then put the batting on the inside. If you like the quilted look, you could just put the batting on the exterior piece. So it's up to you how you want that to look. So I'm going to go ahead and do the first step, which is to fuse the shape flex interfacing to one of these panels. And for today's purposes, I'm going to be attaching the SF101 to the polka dot material, which I'm going to have as the exterior panel, and then sew the batting onto this lining panel. Now you could choose to do a batting that is fusible. This one is a sew-in. You could choose to use some spray. The other supplies that you'll need for today's project are grid ruler, a rotary cutter, some scissors, snips, a coordinating fabric sewing machine, an iron, and an ironing board. And if you have a smaller grid, that will also be useful when cutting out the corners. Okay, so I have done the fusible interfacing, and just to give you an idea on this large one, I just did some straight lines. You can still see the air erasable marker. A medium, I did a starburst kind of idea. And then for the smaller 15 by 15, I had a hand free motion quilting, and still don't have the hang of that. I don't know if I ever will. But some of you out there that are proficient at it are probably much better at getting the stitches even. I seem to go from really small, tiny stitches to larger ones, and I haven't gotten the knack of getting those even. So if you have any tips for everybody in the sewing community that is new to free motion quilting, drop it in the comments below. I'm sure everybody will appreciate it. So the next step is to do the boxing, and for the boxing you're going to find a smaller grid ruler, useful if you have one, and I'm going to take each one of the panels. I'm going to actually use the erasable marker and take out 5 inches from each of the corners. If you also feel comfortable, you can use your rotary cutter right away, or you can use your scissors as well. And it's entirely up to you and the method that you prefer. So for the small one that's 10 inches by 10 inches, I'm going to be boxing out 3-inch squares. Also find if you get it started with a rotary cutter, then you can finish at the join with the scissors. That way you don't overcut. So what you will be left with are a whole lot of crosses. And I wanted to say, guys, don't throw these squares away because they make the perfect little gift. For the larger squares, I'm going to show you how to make coasters at the end, make some really pretty projects from them. And even for these smaller squares, I hate throwing anything away, so I think these would make some adorable little pin holders. So for your needles and pins, you could keep these, but you could also, since these are fairly well padded, you could also double them up, but you could make them to grab onto hot items too, like the lids, like the little lids. And now it's time to put them right sides together and start getting the 3-dimensional look. So next I'm going to sew down at 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to backstitch and at the beginning and end. I'm going to save all the trimming of the threads at the very end when I'm done with all of them. So next you're going to open that way. So you see we're getting that 3-dimensional look. There's 1, And I'll continue all the way with the other ones. I think the longest part of this project is just cutting all the fabric and interfacings out. The sewing's the fastest. So here's the CO cubes. They're all sewn. Now I'm going to take my snips and trim up the threads on all of them. And then it'll be time to assemble everything. Okay, so I'll work on those in a little bit. Now, for the assembly part, you're going to make sure that everything's pushed out in the corners. One of them is flipped, so you're going to have the right sides of the fabric kissing each other. You plonk it inside, and this is the part where you match up the seams, because this part will be visible, and you can decide if you want to butterfly the seams or kind of stagger them. You can use your clips. And I have a tutorial on how to make these little clear ones as well on the YouTube channel. These are nothing but hair clips. They're good for these projects that you want more of a grasp than the shorter clover clips. Although you could use those as well, it doesn't matter. I'll use the clover clips in a minute once I've turned it. So I'm going to go all the way around and clip everything. And everything should fit fairly well, but if you have one that is a little bit uneven, it could mean that you kind of got uneven with your seam allowance. But what I'm doing is I'm going to choose that one to be the one for the turning gap. So I'm going to just put a mark to remind myself that leave that open when I'm going to sew. But everything else should be lining up well. Okay, so I'm going to go get all the other ones ready as well. And then it'll be time to take it to the sewing machine and sew it. Okay, ready to sew all of these together. So I'm going to start with a large one. I don't have a free arm machine. This is a solid bed machine, so I'm going to just go from the inside, and I'm going to sew at a 1/4 inch seam allowance as well. And on this one, I'm probably going to go closer to a 2.5 just to keep it together well. And don't forget that you have a gap to leave. Back stitching. keep rearranging it. Like roll it along like it's a wheel. Okay, so I'm just going to trim the threads. And get them ready for turning. Okay, now then it's time to turn. See what we have. And don't worry about crushing it. That's why you double stitch too on the gap so you don't tear it, but we'll press them nicely when we're done. So I'll get them all turned out. Whoops, and sling it across. See, this is how you want them to line up ideally. And then this is where the turning tool or anything that you might have that's kind of pointy but not too sharp, because you don't want to go through, but you want to press out the corners. It'll make it easier to get it a nice crisp finish. These are completely reversible, so you can decide how you want them to finish, and you can also decide if you want part of the lining showing when you top stitch around. So this is where the clover clips come in handy. I'm going to sew from the outside. Well, it's reversible, so it doesn't matter. So whichever way you prefer, but I'm going to do it this way since I can see better probably on this less busy side. And this time I am going to turn it back to a 3mm stitch length. Stitch. You can actually stitch in the ditch actually if you want, or you could stitch about 1/8 of an inch away if you want that added detail. And you just periodically peek under there and make sure you don't have your other side on there. I'm just using the width of the toe of the presser foot. You just want to make sure at the end that you've caught the turning gap closed. And I'll make sure. That was satisfying. Hi, Nanny.
What are you doing?
Nanny's coming to see the clips. Are you tired, baby? You getting ready for night-night? Are you ready for night-night, birdie? You ready for night-night?
You still got, what, an hour? 2 hours? Yeah.
Before birdie bedtime.
It's too early to be so sleepy.
It's like, I think I'll just grind my beak.
That means it's comfy.
You comfy, Nanny. You like all the pretty colors? Does it remind you of the tropical rainforest?
So handsome.
Trim the corners a bit. You can trim the sides as well, just not going into the stitching line, as I almost did. So then you just turn it. These would make some pretty summer coasters for your patio. or garden room. And they make great gifts if you make like a pack of 4 and tie them up really pretty with some string or twine. And put them in some clear bags, like cellophane bags. It makes a really pretty gift with a nice little message on it. And then just close the seam up. Once you've turned it, you could also free motion quilt it if you'd like, or add some more stitching lines, but I'm just going to go around at 1/8 of an inch all the way around. And there is your coaster. So all you have to do is just press it. Keep working on those and make a nice pack. Hi there and welcome to Lasso Create. Today, my name is Rebecca, if we haven't met. Today I'm going to bring you along as I show you how to make these how to make these fabric baskets. Now,